Hello, my festive angels. It's me, Lord Nicolina, aka Saint Nicolina, and welcome to the second and final Angel Rise Christmas episode for 2024. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the spike in views on this channel as of late. More specifically, the views can vary between 10 to 30 during a course between, I would say, 24 to 48 hours. Mainly these views have been with some of my older videos, even those I uploaded in 2022. While my view count as a whole is still quite low, and these spikes happen on occasion, the fact that these videos are even getting the slightest of outreach alongside with my recent ones honestly makes me quite surprised, yet so happy at the same time. So really, thank you all so much for your support. Again, no matter how big or small it is, it means a whole lot. And even then, I'll still continue to upload. The courage will still be there. And with that said, let's unwrap the second and final Christmas-themed Angel Rise episode for 2024. With any holiday, everybody has a story or two to talk about, even on Christmas. Whether filled with joy or laughter, or maybe even a little bit of both, some can be more prominent than others. It's no different for me, but let me tell you, whenever they've happened, they've meant everything. So gather by the fire once more, my angels, as I share 4 of my most favorite stories from the holiday season. Cats in the Christmas Tree. If you familiarized yourselves with cats and Christmas trees, I think it's fair to say that they possibly don't mix. In the case of my cats, though, it's completely different. There are no broken ornaments or fallen trees. They just decided to make it a hiding spot. The first notable instance of this happening was in 2010, not long after we moved into our now old house, when my now late cat, Pixie, climbed into our Christmas tree. She got close to the middle of the tree, which is where my mother took this iconic picture of her. All these years later, it's honestly my favorite picture of her. Plus, the fact that she was small enough to fit within the tree, it's honestly amazing. And at the same time, so freaking cute. I bet if she was still around today, she could still fit inside. And for clarification, Pixie did have a condition where she couldn't grow as big as a normal cat would. So she was small throughout her whole life, and that's why she was able to fit into our Christmas tree. She wasn't the only cat of mine to do this, though. 7 years later, my cat Toes did the same thing. Though I don't have an actual photo of him in the tree, I will share a photo of him here for reference. Much like with Pixie, he was able to fit inside when he was a kitten. But I believe he only managed to get in at least twice from what I remember. Yet it was still pretty nice to see. But that wasn't all he used the tree for. For context, Toes was quite the bully towards my other cats as he got older. So around Christmas time, he would chase another one of my cats named Cheesy until he was underneath the tree. He would hide there until he deemed it safe enough to come out, even long after Toes departed the scene. This happened numerous times, mainly in the evening. Toes is now in Florida with my older sister, so Cheesy really has nothing too much to worry about now. I wonder if he'll do the same thing if my older sister gets another cat. In other terms, Pixie and Toes were basically the rulers of the Christmas tree back at my old place. Pixie, with her small size, and Toes, with his Grinch-like behavior, more than fitting if I do say so myself. Its purpose varied from safety and comfort to crazy chaos. So Christmas trees, beware. 2015 Gingerbread House Competition. I brought this up all the way back in episode 26, but it's a family tradition on my mother's side of the family to have gingerbread house competitions on Christmas or New Year's Day. The second edition of the competition took place on New Year's Day 2015. And I'll be honest with you, it became a moment I cringe about, yet find so hilarious to this day. Anyways, to set the stage, the first year we did this, I was the judge. And I did the same for the second edition. Team 1 had on it my 2 sisters and 1 of my older cousins. And Team 2 involved my mother, 1 of my aunts, and the older sister of the older cousin on my sister's team. Team 1 had a setup that I believe was inspired by How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And Team 2 setup was inspired by the Disney movie Frozen, which I was into at the time. This will be important for later. The Grinch setup was absolutely wonderful to look at. And in the words of my younger sister, was completely edible. The Frozen one, however, for obvious reasons, caught my eye even more. The decorations were not as edible as the Grinch one, but they were still good in my books. Plus, Let It Go was played on my mother's phone, which made it all the more appealing. When it came to deciding which setup won, I was torn at first, but in the end, I chose the Frozen setup as the winner. My sisters and older cousin were honestly not pleased with the choice, arguing the edibility of the Frozen setup compared to the Grinch one. But I stuck with my choice, which meant my mother, aunt, and older cousin's older sister won the competition for that year. After that, however, we did make a major change to how we judged gingerbread house competitions. Instead of there being just one judge, the non-participants would all vote to decide which setup was their favorite. And the winner would be declared that way. I honestly do feel the way I judged the competition there was a little rigged. Like I mentioned, I was really into Frozen back then. And that, no question, swayed my decision to that setup. If I were to rejudge that today, I would certainly choose my sister's and older cousin's setup as the winner. So to them, consider this a delayed victory. But at the end of the day, it did make room to make the competition a lot more fair. The same controversy hasn't happened since, and even then, there have been some more memorable setups, including a Jurassic Park themed one on New Year's Day in 2019. The 2015 competition, though, will always be one for the books. Despite all that went down, it was still pretty fun, if I do say so myself. The trash talk. Not even Christmas is safe from people trash talking each other. And in my family, whenever it does happen, it can get ridiculously hilarious. For my younger cousin and my father in 2018, that exactly was the case. At the Christmas gathering on my father's side that year, things started out like so. Just the usual chill out vibe before the present pass along game and dinner. Then, just before the present pass along game came along, that's when the fun started. My father and younger cousin did talk with each other when, during one of their discussions, my younger cousin took the first jab. And my father jabbed right back. I can't remember exactly what was said, but it was to the effect of, "Try me, old man," and, "Oh, you're in for it now." And that, of course, was just the beginning. It continued well into the present pass-along game, with my younger cousin and father even exchanging middle fingers towards each other while still giving themselves the what for. I didn't even think for a moment to step in, and neither did anyone else. In fact, I think a couple others joined in on the fun as well, including my stepmother. Which honestly makes me laugh quite a bit. Even once dinner was served, they took some jabs at each other. But not as often as in the present pass-along game. It did settle down once the gathering was slowly coming to an end, but still, it is forever sealed into my mind. As a matter of fact, prior to that night, my father and younger cousin barely talked to each other, even during gatherings. So to see them talking with each other, it was a bit of a surprise to me. But they don't have any problems with each other. They just aren't as close to each other as they are with me and his father respectively. Plus, this was well before I started hearing trash talking on a full-time scale while timekeeping hockey games. Those two basically went at it the entire night. And though I can't discern everything that they said, it's just too funny in retrospect. It's no question on par with the gingerbread house competition fiasco 3 years prior. And within my father's side, easily my favorite Christmas story from there. The teddy bear tosses. To cap off this episode, I've got two very recent stories from a tradition widely known around the hockey world. I'm talking about teddy bear tosses. For those not familiar with them, they're relatively simple. It's an event organized by junior and minor professional hockey teams to help kids that don't have access to toys for the holiday season. So for these games, fans are encouraged to bring stuffed toys along. And when the home team scores their first goal of the game, fans are encouraged to toss their stuffed toys onto the ice for a donation to local charities for said kids. In my case, I didn't go to just one, but two of these games for December. The first one was on the 3rd for the Kitchener Rangers, and they were playing host to the Brantford Bulldogs. Plus, it was my first visit to the Rangers' home arena, the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium, for hockey specifically, since December 9th, 2011, almost 13 years to the day, and a year to date after the legendary matchup between these two teams on December 9th, 2023, which I have made a storytime video about, and I'll pop a link on the screen here in case y'all want to see it. All nostalgia aside, this game was quite fun to watch. It did take some time to get the teddy bear toss goal, which came 5 minutes and 24 seconds into the second period. My mother and I were having our in-game snacks when the goal was scored by forward Luke Elenos. We had to move our snacks aside to make room for us to toss our stuffed toys on the ice. Some toys other fans threw landed on my seat, and I tossed them down to the ice to help them out. When it was said and done, 10,409 stuffed toys were collected that night. That is because the seating capacity of the auditorium itself was just under 8,000, and over 7,200 people were there that night. So the amount of people that are at an arena for teddy bear toss games contributes significantly to how many stuffed toys are donated. After the game resumed, the Rangers scored twice more to take a 3-0 lead into the third period. The Bulldogs, however, weren't letting them get away that easily. They got 2 goals within the first 8 minutes of the period, but then the Rangers got 1 back just under a minute and a half after the second Bulldogs goal. But the Bulldogs soon got a lucky bounce with just under 6 minutes left to get themselves back within 1. And they were just literal millimeters from tying the game over 2.5 minutes later on another wild bounce that caused the puck to stop on the goal line. But Rangers defenseman Carson Campbell swatted it away, putting it under the pad of goaltender Jackson Parsons for a whistle. I seriously couldn't believe that didn't cross the goal line. It felt like it was going to be the December 9th, 2023 game all over again. But while this game did have the same energy of that one, the result was not the same. That close call saved the Rangers, who potted home 2 empty net goals in the final 2 minutes for a 6-3 win, including one that was going wide, but rolled into the net. For my first hockey game inside the auditorium in 13 years, it was really amazing. Outside of all the stuffed toys being tossed onto the ice, another memorable moment in the game was a couple Rangers fans I talked to, especially one who sat beside my mother and I. Him, my mother, and I talked about our love for the Bulldogs and Rangers, and we even exchanged a little friendly banter throughout the game. Though technically I was cheering for both the Rangers and the Bulldogs, since the Rangers were the first OHL team I came to love. Even the face paint I wore was representative of both teams. It was the Angel face paint, with a black eye socket and yellow cheekbone representing the Bulldogs on the right side of my face, and a blue eye socket with a red cheekbone representing the Rangers on the left side of my face. Additional details included a dog nose for the Bulldogs, along with red and blue stripes representing the stripes on the Rangers' primary jerseys. I also wore one of my Bulldogs beanies and my lanyard, along with one of my old Kitchener Rangers jerseys. More specifically, their alternate jersey, which I got when I was around 9 to 10 years old. It still fits me, even all these years later. For the second teddy bear toss game I went to, this one was hosted by the Brantford Bulldogs. It was held the weekend before this recording, where they played host to the Kingston Frontenacs. I went to this one with my father, with better luck for the Bulldogs this time around. And it didn't take them long to get their teddy bear toss goal. Just 6 minutes and 33 seconds into the first period, courtesy of Jake O'Brien on a scramble in front of the net on the power play. However, it was initially waved off due to suspected goaltender interference. Despite the call, though, fans were throwing their stuffed toys onto the ice. Even I did. Lots of them, in fact. The Bulldogs did challenge the play, where it was reviewed, and got it overturned, because the replay showed that there wasn't as much interference with the goaltender as initially perceived by the officials. In all honesty, that is the weirdest way to get a teddy bear toss goal. But as long as those stuffed toys are flying, it really doesn't matter. This prompted a second wave of stuffed toys to be thrown onto the ice. More specifically, the ones who held back after the initial call. There wasn't as much stuffed toys as with the Kitchener game, but there was still quite a bit. I don't know exactly how many were thrown, yet my best guess is between 4,500 and 6,000. And much like with the Rangers game, the fun didn't stop there. The Bulldogs got another goal before Kingston had a goal of their own waved off due to goaltender interference. Again challenged by the Bulldogs. Yet, Kingston would get back at them, and that's when they got back within one. That's as close as they got, however. Second period was all Bulldogs. 4 goals were scored in the period, including the first OHL goal for defenseman Daniel Chen, and a short-handed buzzer beater, which I thought didn't count, but did as the puck crossed the goal line with 0.4 seconds left in the period. Third period was more of the same. Kingston had no gas left in the tank, as they were playing their third game in 3 days. 4 more goals by the Bulldogs pushed them to a 10-1 win, including the first 2 OHL goals by another defenseman, Adam Juracek. So Daniel Chen wasn't the only one on the list of firsts. Speaking of him, that led to one of my new most favorite moments during a hockey game. The recognition Daniel Chen got was incredible. The fans cheered every time he came onto the ice, chanting, "We want Chen," and "Let's go Chen." And they even wanted him to get a second goal, which sadly didn't end up happening. But still, I find it super heartwarming to see that much support. The support he got was like the equivalent of Austin Matthews or even Alex Ovechkin level. Even then, Chen is the tallest player on the Bulldogs right now, being 6'5". So that makes him a certified big guy. Sports fans love those types of players along with the superstars. He was even named the game's first star, and the PA announcer acknowledged the support he got when announcing him. Like I said earlier, these games were mainly themed around the stuffed toys tossed onto the ice for donation. But in my opinion, it was the moments outside of them that made these games so worthwhile. The chat with the Kitchener Rangers fan while I supported both them and the Bulldogs. The recognition Daniel Chen got for his first OHL goal. I seriously feel it spread just as much holiday cheer as the avalanche of toy donations for those kids. And I've honestly never associated the holiday season with hockey too much, but after these games, I feel it's fair to say that they are a perfect mix. And when it comes to the holidays as a whole, there's no shortage of memorable moments. Whatever stories you have, I'm sure they're more than worthy to share while sitting by the Yuletide fire. That's all for episode 47, my angels. Admittedly, some stories I could remember more than others. So that's why the first 3 stories were shorter than the last one. Either way though, I am still happy that I was able to share them with you all. And what are your most memorable stories from the holidays? As always, please feel free to comment down below what they are. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave a like and share this with your loved ones. Spread the word about Angel Rise and the Lord Nicolina YouTube channel. For those who are new here and would like to join this journey of mine, then please feel free to subscribe to join the Blue and White Angel Brethren today. Click the notification bell as well when you subscribe so that you are notified whenever I release new content. And feel free to check out my other videos as well. Thank you all so much for watching the second and final Christmas episode of Angel Rise for 2024. I hope you all have a great day or night whenever you are watching this. And I hope you have the most wonderful of Christmases and holidays. Until we meet again, my name is Lord Nicolina, aka Saint Nicolina. Be strong, stay positive, and as always, God bless. Let your inner angel rise.